as long as you're willing to put in the work to sift through company after company, with the framework that you're interested in. So in the case of the multi-bagger framework, there are just three things that matter. And then the fourth is the price, obviously. So if a business doesn't generate high returns on equity, you're done. You don't need to spend any time on that. If the business needs a lot of debt to grow and generate high returns on equity, you could also be done. You don't even need those. If management quality or ethics is a question, you're also done. You don't need those either. And so just if you look at the businesses that generate high returns on equity, that alone would wipe out large swaths of businesses. So basically, I think that if you go down this path, which is the multi-bagger path, the interesting thing is that and all value investing, there are a couple of data points. John Templeton used to say that the very best value investor or analyst will be wrong 1 out of 3 times. Like 33% error rate is the lowest error rate for the very best practitioner of the art. If you were a kind of brain surgeon and you had even a 3% error rate, there might not be too many people coming to you for brain surgery. But I think in terms of value investing, you could be wrong half the time. And I think I've probably been wrong close to half the time and still end up with a phenomenal track record. So, and especially if you focus on the multi-baggers, companies that would go up 10x or 100x, basically in a lifetime of investing, if you ended up finding just 2 or 3 or 4 100 baggers at the age that you're at right now, that's all you need. In many cases, if you just found one, that might be all you need. And so we have all this time, and on the other hand, we just need to find things just once. Don't even need to find them that many times. When I started investing, started my journey value investing about 27 years ago, 94, 95. In the first 5 years, when I was not running my funds, I was just running my own money. I started with about $1 million in 95. By the time, in the first 5 years, I had 200 baggers in the first 5 years itself. And then I think from 2000 to 2022 now, I haven't had any 100 baggers. But I think that there might be some more in the future, some that are kind of still hopefully going through their journey. So you don't need very many of them. A few of them can get you to the promised land. And I would say, when I look back, a rather sloppy journey as an investor, because I was trying all these different things. I think if in 94 or 95 I had done what I am telling you to do now, or suggesting what you should do now, I think I would have done a lot better than how I've done. So if I'd purely focused on the 10 or 100 baggers, then it would be, I think the results would be vastly better. And I remember in 95, January 95, when I had the $1 million, I'd mostly invested in the US markets. But I had an interest in the Indian markets as well. And I thought there were 2 or 3 areas where it could do well. And I decided to put 20,000 out of the $1 million, uh, just 2% of the portfolio into India at that time. And I opened a brokerage account. And so just my own money. So I opened an NRE brokerage account with Kotak. And I decided to put half that money, $10,000, in one stock, which was a IT company. And I was in the IT services business at the time. So I knew this business really well. Satyam Computers, which at that time actually was a pretty honest company. They kind of went wayward, I think, in terms of their ethics about 10, 12 years after that. But in 95, they were a clean company. And so I put 10,000 into Satyam and in 95. And I think by the time it was 2000, it had gone up 150x. The 10,000 had become $1.5 million, approximately 1.4 million or something. And then the remaining 10,000, I put into 3 other stocks. I bought 2 of the courier companies that were listed in India at the time, Blue Dart and Skypack Courier, because my perspective was that the Indian Postal Service was just hosed. And if you really wanted to get a package from point A to point B in India, you really had to rely on private people to get it for you. I don't think the Postal Service was reliable. And so I thought that these businesses that were focused on that would do quite well. And so I was just going to make 3 investments, actually, half in Satyam and then half in these other 2. And then at the last minute, I was also very impressed with Kotak because I was just very impressed in dealing with their people. And so I decided to split the other 10,000 3 ways, one about 3,300 in Kotak and 3,300 in the other 2 businesses. So when this 10,000 became 1.4 million or whatever in 2000, the other 3 businesses had done nothing for 5 years. They was pretty much sitting close to what I had paid for them, like no movement for the most part. And so I said, well, it is not realistic to think that if you put $20,000 in the Indian market and you get, 1.4 million, something like a 70x, that there's still some meat on that bone and there's still some juice to be extracted, if you will. So I said, this is a pretty good result. And for no really good reason, in 2000, I sold the other 3 stocks. And I told Kotak, sell these stocks and just send me the money back. I basically liquidated the entire Indian portfolio in 2000. And there was no really good reason to sell Blue Dart or Skypack or Kotak. No particular reason that I had to do that. Kotak from 2000 till now is about a 500x. Blue Dart is about a 300x. And Skypack went kind of backwards. I think eventually went bankrupt, but it was down like 90% or something. So basically, there were massive home runs. There were 2 massive home runs, which, like I said, I there was no reason to kind of make that decision to sell, but that's what happened. And, I missed those 2 rides. And, but even with the sloppy nature and kind of stupid analysis that I did in those sell decisions, the end result was fine. And the remaining 980,000 that I'd invested in the US over the next 4 or 5 years, by 99, 2000, it was about 13 million or so. So that had gone up quite a bit because one of those bets had gone up 100x. 100,000 became about 10 million or so. So anyway, the thing is that even with a lot of sloppiness, what I'm saying is that basically what when you look at that investing that took place then, just the 2 bets that were 100 bagger were responsible for like 80, 90% of the returns. It didn't matter. The rest didn't matter if it all went to 0. The results would have still been great. And so that's the nature of this multi-bagger type investing, is that it can tolerate a very high error rate. And of course, your objective as an analyst should be to try to keep the error rate as low as possible.